also known as 808. Thank you. We'll do just one more tune while everybody's coming in. For the purposes of this book launch, this band is known as the Latecomers. In case you're an international spy, theme music. Welcome to the book launch. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would love to bring up the wonderful editor from Brick Books who has been so generous as to publish my book, and all of these amazing things are happening. And Elena, would you please join us here on stage? Thank you so much. Everybody, Elena, move! You can be here or...
Well, welcome everyone to Charlie's, thank you. Charlie helps us with the tech stuff at BrickBooks. So I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. And I want to start with the land acknowledgement. When I was trying to decide what to say for the land acknowledgement today, I went on the Theatre Passmarais website and read their land acknowledgement and was really moved by its simplicity and heartfeltness, so I thought I would just read that. We gratefully acknowledge the original caretakers of this land, the Anishinaabeg, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. We embrace collaborative and collective values as exemplified by Indigenous cultures, and we aspire to live up to those values. We are also particularly inspired by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. This agreement binds people on this land to share peacefully with their neighbors so that we may all have enough. There's one dish one spoon, no knife. In that spirit, we honor all who came before us, our own ancestors, as well as all the Indigenous caretakers, named and unnamed, recorded and unrecorded. We're grateful to have the opportunity to work, play, and create here in this community and on this territory, and also to celebrate like we're doing tonight. So as Charlie said, I am the publisher at Brick Books, and just a couple of words about Brick before we turn to the rest of the evening. We are one of the few poetry-only publishers in the world, and a long-standing member of Canada's publishing industry. We've been around for 46 years. We aspire to be a hub and a home for all kinds of poetry, and recently we began a kind of a spoken word portal, which is how Charlie came to us. It's just been such a delight to work with them. Charlie is a disabled queer transmasculine person who resides in Toronto, Tekaranto. Petch's full-length spoken word vaudeville play, Mel Malarkey, has toured all over Canada. They have several handsome chapbooks, and Late Night Knife Fights was published with Lyrical Miracle Press. A musician, lighting designer, spoken word artist, award-winning playwright, and host. Petch was the 2017 Poet of Honor for Spoken Word Canada, winner of the Golden Beret Lifetime Achievement Award in Spoken Word with the League of Canadian Poets, and a founder of Hot Damn It's a Queer Slam. But beside all that, he's also hands down one of the most generous, gracious, gregarious, and delightful people I've ever worked with. So please welcome back Charlie Petch.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I do want to mention not only just a little bit more about Brick and how I've been received there, and how my art has been deeply respected for the form that it is, which is spoken word. Spoken word, of course, is a Black and Indigenous art. It's Indigenous to this land in that our oral traditions kept us, before we had written language, we had spoken word, and we had storytellers and poets. And so we are carrying on that tradition. And certainly spoken word has had a huge, hip-hop community has had a huge impact on spoken word, and so I just really want to recognize those traditions and those roots that this comes from. And Brick was wonderful in finding me not only one, but two editors, Nick Tran and also Andrea Thompson. And in particular, Andrea Thompson, Nick is an amazing poet, well-published poet, and was a joy to work with. Andrea Thompson and I know each other through spoken word, and in particular, they wanted her to be one of the editors to make sure that they were getting it right, because spoken word has not been, it's not easy to edit spoken word and keep the form and keep how it should sound on the page. And these are poems that hopefully beg to be read out loud, and a lot of that has to do with Andrea Thompson being a part of that. And I saw that she just came into the Zoom room. Hi! I am like, that's where I should be looking. Okay, perfect. I'll stop looking over there. There's a few people here. It's so lovely to be doing this live stream here at Theatre Passe Muraille as well, which is one of the best theaters in Toronto and really in the whole country. And so I'm super blessed to be a part of this. And, I had this idea in my head how the book launch should look. And certainly Toronto Lit Up has been a huge contributor, and Toronto Arts Council as well. So I say thank you to them as well to make sure that I could have this little dream of a book launch with musicians that I get to pay and stuff like that. So I'm going to start off with one of the first poems here. I'm going to do a little warning because, if you're vegetarian, you might really not like this. If you have your kids sitting next to you, you might be like, hey, you should go look in the fridge for 2 minutes. Okay. And they're gone. Okay, perfect. So this is called Broiled Meat. When I think of animals being roasted, they are never headless. mouths broiled in scream, lit by greasy oven light or turning over an oil drum, smoke rising as eyes evaporate, vitreous escape into steam. Yesterday, I donated my body to science. Should they reject me, it will be my sad second death. They may still take my eyes for transplant. I used to be a hospital bed allocator. My job was to get the bodies in and out of the hospital, alive or dead or organ. Patients' eyes would sit on my desk, floating in fluid. I don't fear death or turn away. Its eyes follow me everywhere. When I was certain the man who picked me up hitchhiking would kill me, I cracked open a beer, realizing how little I could do, and relaxed in a way that my life had prepared me for. My mouth agape, my eyes already leaving, my body ready for science. This next one, I'm going to do a little, so these all have these little notation marks, not all of them, but the ones that do really need music have notation marks to let people know what it sounds like if I'm there doing the show. And so this one is called, so it says, to be accompanied by a ukulele and musical saw loop pedal build, done to the tune of Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Bob Crew and Bob Gaudio. So I will build that now. That again. I think. Okay. Bye. Okay, we'll just do that. Here we go. This is like what you have nightmares about before your book launch. Thank you. Okay, here we go. I'll take that one. Okay. This is also dedicated to Lil Nas X and his incredible, incredible Met look. And really everything he does. He just deserves so much dedication. It's called Dear C-3PO. Dear C-3PO, I always thought you were gay. I imagined that there was a little glorious hole somewhere in R2-D2, that when you made love, he made those happy sounds. Maybe he would turn his head all the way around to try and read joy in your manufactured face. I always thought you would top, that R2-D2 whispered love songs that didn't sound pre-programmed or desperate or othering. C-3PO was your golden exterior made up of melted down wedding rings tossed into vats at training schools, the sheddings of those ready to die. These galaxy warriors who laughed at what made you feminine, which sounds like hesitation, which sounds like we are afraid to feel. How you must have keened every time your lover went to war, became a plug in another machine, as unprotected as a jet wing. Your gold-plated face never told us that behind the joke was a man in love with a soldier. I felt your tears, my sweet, though your face betrayed nothing. Thank you. This next one, is so a little history about, in case you were wondering more about professional wrestling, halfway through this live stream. This is so the reason why we have WCW and WWF wrestling and all of these big shows that are happening, gorgeous, wonderful wrestlers, are because of Stu Hart, who is a Calgarian. And way back when, Stu started Stampede Wrestling, which he later sold to Vince McMahon. Stu has a bunch of famous people that were studying under him. He was an incredible coach. One of them, of course, there was two of them, being his sons, Bret the Hitman Hart, who's very well known, and also Owen Hart. And this is for Owen. And it's called The Ballad of Owen Hart. Wrestling died on live TV. When it happened, my brother and I saw the cameras sway, saw them fight not to look at your fallen body. Owen Hart, son of Stu, brother of Jim, of Davy, of Brett, cousin of Rowdy Roddy Piper. Your family trained generations of gentlemen and lady wrestlers. But that all changed May 23rd, 1999, when Owen, you climbed up 99 steps, stepped into an untested harness, and were thrown to your death in the ring. Owen, as you free fell 30 meters, what thoughts were with you as the wrestling ring came rushing, as the crowd cheered your name? Blue Blazer said he could fly, or Owen Hart, who trusted he would. Maybe, as you rushed towards death, you touched the small razor blade in your pants, worried you'd land on it. Maybe you said God's name. Maybe you thought your mat. Maybe you thought the mat would bounce your body back. Did you curse Vince McMahon, who turned your father's legacy into the mechanism of your death? Blue Blazer, that morning, you kissed your bedheaded children goodbye, lip-locked your wife, told her you weren't going to do the stunt. How did you get from Martha's relieved embrace to dropping from the World Wrestling Federation pay-per-view? Is it because you know that pure wrestling has no hero's reward? That pride and tradition won't put food food on the table, that the Olympics only come every 4 years, but the wrestling franchise, it's on every night of the week. And to win it, you cannot be Owen Hart, who saves every dime for his family, comes from Canadian royalty. You have to put on costumes that make you feel foolish. You have to be the blue blazer. You have to fly. When kids wrestle now, they use shattered fluorescent tubes, folding tables, metal chairs, and ladders that lead nowhere. Thank you. Once again for the band, the latecomers, Rudy Ray and Polly Vernon, thank you so much. We've been working hard on this. It's been a real, true joy. And I gotta say, thank you to Nick for being on sound tonight, and also for the techs here, to David and Eric for being such a wonderful support. Thank you so much. And this is why it all looks and sounds so darn good. Plus, also, we're in theater past Mariah, everybody. Holy moly. Oh, okay, so let me just have a little, 1 second here. So the instructions for this poem is to do an insect voice and stance. Okay. To the bossa nova. So you know, just like a little caveat for people, it's called Eat, Pray, Love, and it's not the book. And you know, if ever you find that your friend is going through a terrible divorce, and it's just like, maybe don't give them Eat, Pray, Love. You know, it was a wonderful gesture by a dear friend. But you know, if you're like on the subway going to your job where like everybody's yelling at you at your job because you're working healthcare, and you have no time to actually cry except for like on the subway there and back, and you're reading Eat, Pray, Love, and you're like, where the fuck's my gelato? You know, where's my year off? Where's my Italy? Anyway, I didn't get past Italy. I was so mad. Thank you. So this is Eat, Pray, Love, but P-R-E-Y. Perfect. Yes, yes. Okay. Victor, 6 hours of straight lovemaking is a lot. Well, I recognize that our species of praying mantis needs to propagate. I just got really tired and hungry. I appreciate that you brought us a soft-bellied fly to dine on, and even a cricket to play a back-leg tune until we ate that too. Maybe it's a bit old-fashioned to expect you to provide the food, to have punished you for my empty digestive tract. But let's face it, I was always going to be a single mom. My own mother taught me many things, like decapitating your partner during copulation helps them to ejaculate. Like that us praying mantises don't actually have to pray. Like death is a part of life. Like love doesn't last unless it is broken down by enzymes in the midgut, digested into protein, and then passed along to the next generation. I'm told that your son has your eyes, your beady black eyes. But I had them first, Victor. And then I had the rest of your head in your delicious thorax. I'm so sorry, Victor, but 6 hours is a long time for a quickie. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I have one more for this set. I'm going to be doing another set after. There's going to be a little break. There's going to be a Q&A with the wonderful Alessandra Naccarato. And then we're going to come back for a final set of poems. So, but before we do, I wanted to lose my page in the book. I wanted to just say, okay, okay, here we go. So this is, okay, thank you. I just wanted to reveal to everybody that I lied to a whole bunch of people for most of my life. I convinced you all that for like the past 40 years that I was a woman. I know, isn't that weird? So I wrote this poem about it. It's called, I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that I got the doctor to put female on my birth certificate. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that my parents called me Catherine. I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that I got the job and overperformed and still didn't get the promotion. But I did get sexually harassed and all of my ideas stolen. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that my boy band tried to pay me less than the other guys. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag, I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that I am allowed to cry in public, be excused from manual labor. And when I say stuff like, I wish I could give birth, nobody laughs at me. Okay, I just want to talk about that last one because I actually don't really want to give birth, but you know how we treat people when they say that they want to give birth and we don't think that they have a uterus for some reason. That's just really wrong because the need to have a pregnancy isn't dictated by gender. Okay. I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag. I'm so good at drag that some of my cis male partners thought that we were having straight sex the whole time. I'm so good at drag that some of you don't understand what this poem is about. Thank you. Please enjoy your break. 808 is going to be playing some original tunes along with the lovely and talented Rudy Ray. Yeah. Do you remember that part? It's going to be a 5-minute break, and then we will come into the artist. Emmy Zamira is going to be has given us a lovely projection to talk about the cover of this gorgeous, gorgeous book. So see you in 5.
Joyce. Okay. Yeah, we could play another song. Do you want to try the It's So Pretty song? It's so pretty. Because I think it is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this amazing, amazing book launch. I'm Alessandra Nacarado, and I get to be part of this, and I'm so excited to be here. And we are going to head into a very exciting moment where we get to celebrate the artwork that's been done for the cover of this incredible book. So we have a presentation coming from the cover artist, and I want to read this bio of the amazing artist. So this is Emi Zamura, who is a cultural producer, primarily working in illustration and graphic design. Guided by research into Japanese folk tales and personal ancestry, her work documents an ongoing process of negotiating Japanese settler/colonial identity and relationships to the urban environment. She aims to build a socially engaged practice, exploring art activism and solidarity within a fast and furiously forgetful urban and mass media landscape. She is currently based in Toronto, Toronto. All right, so we are going to have an amazing presentation of this work, and then we'll be heading into a Q&A with myself and Charlie. Stay tuned.
Okay, until the audio is working, I'm just going to talk about, so these were some of the thoughts that we had about having, about what the cover could be. So I had an idea about like my old drag turning into my current sort of look, and so these were some sort of some interpretations of that, and I was like, I think in this part of it, Emmy is saying how I was like, maybe we don't have cartoon writing, maybe this isn't a cartoon. I am a huge fan of graphic novels, and I think that was a big influence on how I wanted the front of my book to look. Emmy does these like amazing sort of remnant things, and she, and so I was like, let's think about remnants, you know? Let's think about what that could look like as a medium. And I think we can just keep the movie going, and the audio. This is the multimedia is super fun in a live stream environment. So these were some of the, so I have, actually that's my, I'll just go up here. Here we go, lovely. Perfect, okay. Nobody needs that. Oh, actually Polly does later on. Okay, here we go. This is my wedding dress up here. That's my wedding dress. It was really nice. It was done at a theater place, of course, because, you know, I do like my drag to be perfect. That is my boxer shorts. They're great, thanks. And here is a wonderful shirt, a tie. That tie, actually, I wore it with my punk noise band like every gig, so there's a whole bunch of weird stains on it, because there was a whole bunch of weird stains being thrown at us most of the time. And over here are my pants. They are unbuttoned for your pleasure. Yeah, and there's a shirt over here. This over here is, so I worked in film. We're gonna get into that poem a little bit later called Electric. Tell your children to go to the fridge for a while when that happens. So this is an AC tester. So anybody who worked in lighting or grip would know what that is. And then, of course, my cowboy shirts. I was in a cowboy band. Actually, this whole band was in the cowboy band, the Silverhearts. More of a beer hall orchestra. I shouldn't really call it a cowboy band. We just had a lot of cowboy shirts because they're fantastic. Thank you, Rudy. You're so good in the audience. Yeah, so that's what is going on here. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can unpause the movie, because thank you so much. You should see this crew on the fly. It's incredible, everybody. So exciting. Yes.
Hi, I'm Emmy, and
Killing
this is a
it,
little
Eric,
snapshot
killing it.
of the
Thank
design
you.
process for Charlie's
Just let me know if
wonderful
the
book.
audio starts up so I won't overdub. Oh, thank you. Perfect. And that's that.
Hi, I'm
or maybe
Emmy,
not.
and
Oh, no.
this is
Okay,
a
here we
little
go. Okay, great.
snapshot of the design process for Charlie's wonderful book, Why I Was Late. So
oh, okay,
Charlie and
good,
I
okay.
met
I'll
back
come.
in Peterborough in the early 2000s. Charlie is one of the most brilliant, hilarious, kind people I've ever met. And it's been truly, truly an honor to work with him on this incredible book. I'm also really grateful to the team at Brick Books and Coach House Printing. This has really been one of the most satisfying, joyful projects I've ever worked on. And I hope you get a good sense of this as we go through the slides. So these next few slides are, I guess, visual conversations Charlie and I were having about what the look and feel should be for the cover. From these early ideas, Charlie knew right away that he didn't want the cover to look cartoony, which is really good to figure out right at the beginning. And we were looking at mostly clothing at first, but different objects that were meaningful to him and how we could convey transition and movement through these objects. this image, I wanted to try something a little bit more abstract. It's also the first appearance of Zoe Dog. Through these explorations, we kind of landed here on the right, and we both felt like something was just starting to click. We realized that there was no need to constrain ourselves to just using clothing to convey transition and movement, and that all of these objects held really deep meaning for Charlie and were a part of his story. So we started to imagine how all of these objects could coexist in the same space. After these first few meetings, Charlie sent me an email with the line, "The remnants tell the story." And so we decided to shift our focus to objects, and Charlie sent me a new collection of photos of things that were meaningful to him. And I also went through the text, and I picked up images that for me were very compelling and kind of popped in my mind. Once we had that conversation, everything starts to fall into place, and it starts really taking shape. I'm able to look at the objects and fine-tune where they're going to go, and basically how all of the objects are going to speak to each other on the page. I'm able to come up with 4 solid designs that Charlie and I are both happy with, and we finally get to show Elena and Razel at Brick Books, and everyone decides that this one here on the right is the winner, and we decide to go forward with that.
The typeface used in the book is Dante, and it was designed by the German typographer Giovanni Marderstieg, and he published anti-Nazi sonnets during World War II.
In the next series of slides, I'd like to share with you how all of the objects finally ended up where they ended up. I really wanted to convey that all of these objects are so important. They're so special, and they were chosen specifically for the cover. They carry meaning, and they carry stories, and they carry memory, and they carry spirit. And so my approach to this was to make sure that each object had enough breathing room, and maybe you could almost imagine like an aura around each object. And I also wanted them to exist harmoniously, so I think the sort of typographic approach to spacing also helps to make everything look like it has a home. The other objective was to show movement in the piece and transitions from one place to another, from one moment to the next, and to show relationships between all of these different disparate objects. And so I wanted to give the sense that this could be maybe just a moment in time where we've caught these objects in space like this. But if we blink too hard, perhaps in the next moment, the wrestlers could be elbow dropping the title, and the Pop-Tart could be each. I wanted the palm of the hand to be open and outstretched at the bottom as a grounding force, to show that if everything collapsed and just fell, there would be a safe place to land. And if that did happen, Zoe Dog would be there in the right-hand corner, ready to shower you with love. This is the completed front and back cover and spine, and I encourage you to ask Charlie about these objects, because I'm sure he has a story about everyone. They're like little portals. This is us at Coach House Printing, where I got to see a book birth for the first time. Thank you so much for letting me share this. And thank you so much, Theatre Pas Marai, for holding the event. And huge congratulations. Love you, Charlie.
And we are back.
Surprise, it's me.
Still Charlie. So here we are. We get to celebrate.
Yes, I love it. I love celebrating things with you. You're so good at it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
It's true. Almost every day I get to be more and more excited about this book and about this moment. And I'm so honored to be here and get to ask you some questions that I think are probably on a lot of people's minds about this incredible book that has finally come into the world. It's such a gift to be holding it in my hands. I've been waiting for this moment for years. And I'm so happy it's here, and I'm so happy that Brick Books brought it into the world and that we get to be here in this moment celebrating this. I just read it for the second time today, which was such a joy. And it has this amazing title, which is kind of puts this varied and beautiful and complex answer to the question why I was late. But I'd also just wanted to start by inviting you to share with us a bit about what's at the heart of this book for you, and if you want to share anything about the title and any of these amazing iconic figures that are on this cover.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, this book is it's many a thing. Made to my late husband, and still in full drag as a woman, and then it's sort of so it's chronological in how it works. It's actually in like 6 sets, so it's like it's thought of. I think it would have been different ways. So, yeah, so it's chronological, and then of course I'm going from identifying as a woman to the great thing that happened, which thanks to trans ancestors, to Two-Spirit people, that the language came to me and really changed my life and gave voice to so much. So it's not only coming from a moment in my life where I am in a, after my husband had his heart attack, he had some brain damage and he came home kind of a stranger to me and to everybody he loved. He's such a great uncle, such a wonderful person. And so some of it is a bit of that grief process, because he later passed away. He had a heart attack when we were together, and he later passed away of another heart attack years later. And so it's some of grief processing, and then it's also processing of who I am, who I really am, and then you throw in there a whole bunch of like kind of weird poetry moments. I have ADD, so I need to be constantly changing up things in a way. So maybe this book has so many different themes going on, but that is actually how my linear brain kind of works in a lot of ways. The original poem doesn't talk about it's not really transformation, it's just I am here. It doesn't, so some of it is based, the thought of why I was late became the right title for the book, because so much of it is looking back on your life and who you are now, and trans people live backwards, right? Like we go back, when we come out, we're like, that's why. Why I was late is sometimes because trauma makes you late, right? you can't leave the house. You turn into, I do this around my house. I have a nice tread around, trying to get out of the house desperately. And yeah, why I was late is a lot to do with identification and many things. Some of the beautiful pictures, a lot of you know a poem about an orange, but it's not in this one, because people have been like, oh, the orange poem is going to be in there. It's not. But this is Mars. This is Mars over here. This is our wedding bands, which is properly landed on Mars. Because you'll reading Bradbury is the poem that refers to that. I mostly wanted to talk about this little treasure right here. This was one of, I had a dog for 14 years. She was a little rescue dog named Zoe Dog, and so many of you got to meet her sweet and gentle nature and slight off-putness from everybody but me. And she passed away in December during, so she's not here for the book launch, but she is, because she's on the cover. And this was like one of the last really good days we had together, and Emmy was with us, and we're like taking pictures of her in the her favorite lake, or creek rather, Taylor Creek. So that's like one of her last little golden moments. And yeah, and the rest, like there's wrestlers going on. Here's my migraine glasses, which signify the beautiful disability I have, which is lighting based, which is very weird because there's a lot of poems in here about me being a lighting tech for film. So one of my greatest passions has become my disability, which is super fun. And yeah, and Emmy, like I was worried about the Band-Aid. Because we're like in this pandemic, and I'm like, should we show like a Band-Aid, like with blood on it? Like, isn't that a panic? But Emmy knows her work and knows what the reaction she wants for these things. And once I heard about her, I love process, and she told me about her process around it and have these jarring things in her work. And that is really reflective of this whole collection, to have, these moments of beauty and grief and transition, and then to have these jarring moments. And so it is deeply reflective of who I am as an artist. And so it is kind of a perfect collaboration, as our collaborations often are with myself and Emmy.
Thank you for sharing all of that. That's really wonderful. Listening to you speak and just getting ready to be here tonight, I've really been reflecting on just how storied and amazing your career has been. And when you speak about like your approach being so varied to do so many poems in a lot of different directions, I really see that in this book and within your poems and within everything you've brought to the stage tonight as being such a like vibrant part of the strength of your art. Is that it moves in many directions at once. It encompasses everything. Like it is pulling in from all parts of emotion and experience. And I felt like that was so real in this book, reading it. Like this, I kept contemplating this piece of like the measure to which we experience this world, like the measure to which we are open to our capacity to experience grief, is connected to our ability to experience joy and pleasure and humor.
Yes.
And I feel like this book is such a testament to that, because it is so funny and it is so heartbreaking and it is so heartwarming, and it is filled with vulnerability and care, and it's such a gift in that way. And I pulled some quotes where I felt like that was really happening. So I'm just going to say a few places where I like really saw it, even in one of the first poems that you shared tonight. One of the lines is, "I don't fear death or turn away." Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's like this gift that you give us throughout this work.
Thank you.
I just want to honor that theme comes out throughout this.
Thank you.
And the next question I have for you with this, and with the idea of your work being so cross-disciplinary, so encompassing of so many different things, another amazing thing about this book is the way it is bringing to life the stage on the page.
Yeah.
And I know you spoke to the fact that you are bringing in these like stage directions on your poems, and you're sharing them tonight. Reading them without you there, also hilarious, fascinating, wonderful, something I never experienced in a book of poetry, to enter a poem with that kind of context, direction given before ever hearing you perform was an amazing experience. And I just wanted to read the piece you added to Church and Gerard, one of your poems.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I wanted to ask you just some questions
Sure.
about this, which is like, what was this process like for you bringing it to stage? And this one you have for Church and Gerard: to be performed with ukulele, musical saw, a jar of fake bacon bits, metal tongs, and a serrated knife on loop pedal to the sound of Running to Stand Still by U2.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, how else would you explain that corner? So it's actually the poem itself is about my experiences of being a hot dog vendor in downtown Toronto. I had two corners. One was when I was a teenager. One was outside the Eaton Centre, and the other one was at the corner of Church and Gerard. Sometimes my boss would fall asleep in his van, and we didn't have, it was like the late 80s? I don't even know. I'm 150 years old. But there was no cell phones unless you're like Magnum PI. And so I couldn't phone him, and he would just fall asleep. So like when it got to be, 2 a.m. when he was supposed to pick me up, he wouldn't be there. So I would sit behind my cart until the sun came up, and all the sex workers that were really like home, and like truly I would be left unless there were people that couldn't get into the shelter. And I had one friend that would come and hang out with me. He was really great. He was a very wonderful poet, and he was about 6.5 feet tall and had a really shaved head, and he would jump up if I said anybody was a crocodile, and then he would like sit down if I said anybody was an alligator. So he was really wonderful to have there. And Running to Stand Still was my favorite song at the time, and I would sing it until the sun came up to keep myself from falling asleep. And yeah, and so that's where all these parts of the hot dog cart come. So the bacon bits, the serrated, the tongs, the serrated knife, all come into play that way. And actually, here at Theatre Passe Muraille, they've accepted me into the Buzz series. So it's actually a play. The whole thing is a play. So that's just like a bit of the play that's in this book, and it's going to be called No One's Special at the Hot Dog Cart. And I'm really excited to be workshopping that in March. And thank you to Theatre Passe Muraille for believing in that work, because it'll be fun. It's sort of like a de-escalation technique also for the audience. It's like everything I needed to know about emergency healthcare I learned as a hot dog vendor in downtown Toronto.
That's amazing. Well, it's amazing for me to see like that poem for me reads so amazingly on the page.
Thanks.
And just you bringing your theater experience and those small notes to the page make it so alive and electric and interesting. And it's just complex and wonderful to read as a poem in a book. So I think you've just like bravo in the way you've brought this together.
Thank you.
Everyone who's watching, if they haven't yet read the book, I'm excited for them to see that piece.
Yeah, you should buy the book.
Buy the book.
It's taken
Get
me all
ready.
night to say you
Get
should buy the
ready. Yeah, I think it's a really great example of spoken word, meeting page poetry. It's just wonderful. I guess the next question I had for you, and we can take it from there, but that's the last question I prepared for you, was just, and I've sort of said this already, but I know as someone who's like been in poetry community with you for over a decade, and probably a lot of people on this moment here together also have to people and to community, and you've been such a beacon and such a hub and such a amazing member of our community for so long. You are a really huge gift to this community as a human being, as an artist, as a performer. It's really amazing to be in your company and to experience your work. And so, you know, I think, and you spoke to this earlier tonight, like community being an important part of your process, of your work. And I feel like just given how real this book is, it spoke to me so much. I think it's going to speak to a lot of people. And I just was wondering if you wanted to speak to community and how it feels to be bringing this book to community right now, how it feels to be showing up with your book.
Yeah, it feels really empowering, absolutely empowering, to have this platform to talk about, you know, about decolonization, about trans identity, non-binary identity, you know, and to, you know, hoping that there's some person out there. And actually, I have a few free copies, so if there are trans or non-binary or two-spirit people who cannot afford this book, please, it's, you know, find me on my website, find me, email me, charliecpetch@gmail, and I would love to send it to you, because having representation is super important. And I got that confidence from community and, you know, the tools that I learned in a background of theater and lighting and tech. I just want to give back to people so that we're all, you know, elevating our art and elevating our message and making sure that we get it out the right way and in a way that people are going to pay attention to it. So I am constantly fed by my community, and I just try and feed back, and but not feedback where like the microphone is listening to the speaker, but I just try and, like, you know, we're all lifting each other up in this, and you know, the more voices we have, the louder we are, and don't forget to vote. Oh, don't forget tomorrow. Oh my gosh, forget to vote.
Well, that is wonderful. Is there anything else you want to tell us tonight?
I think one thing that I don't say enough about the book is that I really want people, masculine people, to read it. Because so much of being transmasculine means that I have constantly been a study of masculinity while experiencing it myself in many ways, and finding ways to express it that are sometimes unhealthy, and to go from that unhealthiness to a healthy. Life's easier when I'm a misogynist, you know, and just recognizing, you know, patriarchy hurts us all. And so I do really want masculine people, men, to read this book, because we all have a lot of work to do together. And I feel like this might speak to a number of men who maybe are afraid to be vulnerable, maybe are afraid to challenge themselves in different ways, or just have questions that need answers. Yeah, I think that's someone that that's a group of people that I really want to access, to encourage them to access this book.
Yes, thank you for saying that, and for sharing all of this tonight.
Thank you, Alessandra.
So
I just wanna
everyone,
give, like, all the same compliments back to Alessandra. But, like,
we are here to celebrate you, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk about the impact you've made on other people's lives, and the impact that I believe this book is going to make on a lot of people. It's already really impacted me in beautiful ways. And like you heard Charlie say, buy the book, buy it for the men in your life, give it as gifts. It's an incredible, bars, you know? Exactly. It's an incredible, incredible work of art, and we're so lucky to have it. And really honoring and celebrating you in this moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And now we get to hear more of your poetry.
Yeah.
So we're going to turn back into this incredible, incredible show. Thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you for speaking with me, Alessandra Nacarado. What a wonderful poet. Please get her work. Yeah, a wonderful mentor. Was my poetry slam coach for a while too, back 10 years ago. Yeah. So I've spoken, actually this is a really good segue to go from what I was just speaking about into this next poem, and then I'll invite the band back on with me. So This is when your child should go to the fridge and get you another beer for 10 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay, so this is called Electric. To set it up a little bit, this is like going back to like 2002 or 2003. I'm not really good with numbers. I was a lighting technician for film and television. I was with NABET 700 CEP for 8 years. And I met, that's such a masculine space, and it was such a great and also harmful space for me to be in. And this is sort of marking a moment in time where SARS, one of the original coronaviruses, was rampant in Toronto. This year, SARS happened. The Canadian dollar matched the American dollar, and then Toronto started not giving incentives to do filming here. So truly, IATSE and NABET were fighting with each other in order to get these contracts. And what happened was they started giving away our turnaround time, which means how much time we get to sleep, how much time is our weekend. Our weekend went from 54 hours to about 38 hours, I believe. And for people who work at least an 18-hour day on the regular, it was really harmful, and it drove a lot of people into addiction. And there might be some harmful language, or there is some harmful language in here. So I just want to just mention that. So it's called Electric. And this actually happened. This was like a huge neon sign, and the best boy I was working with touched it, and literally his body flew over. We're filming in a bowling alley, and he went over 2 lanes. Like, his body just flew, and so here we go. Having touched the back of a bare wire neon sign, you flew, woke in a graceless clump, and went right back to work. Film punks with power, we carried ourselves larger than lightning, hoped waterproofing worked, prayed no inspector would check for safety. Who needs a harness when you have an 8-ball in your brain, a truck full of fuck you're tough, a bare-knuckle apartment, windowsills of booze, and supine mirrors too dusty to reveal the collage of scars that used to look like you? The union sells our sleep. The producer no longer looks at us hard enough to tell the insurance what could have prevented this terrible accident. The world is our film set. Somehow we have power over power, park trucks, spiderweb cable lines, guess at regulation, thinking that 3 hours of sleep can fuel your 18-hour day. Fuck a truck, your balls shoot nails, you hit the rails in front of you, no one expects you to be human. Your family left the zombie that ate your brain. Fuck them, fuck that bitch, now we just stay on TV, live your life in film trucks, fuck this life that took your kids that watch you sleep at the zoo, yell when the car pulls into the shoulder, or dreams into oncoming traffic. When the film wraps, when the truck parts are rolled out, counted, shoved back into buildings full of men who know our names, but not our names. For once, you get enough sleep. Upon waking, turn on the show to catch the credits, laugh at the names of our union family, the only ones we have patience for anymore. For a second, before passing out, there's a sensation that you used to be someone else, before the union bartered us, shortened our lives. Turn off the television, see yourself reflected, a hollow man trapped in a blank glass headstone. Thank you. I'll invite the band to come back on up here for this next poem, which, it's you and me, Polly, the wonderful Polly. Also a film worker. Actually, the 3 of us have done a bit of film work. I believe Rudy was doing film work just today, even. So we know that life. We know that life. Oh my gosh, how you know that life. Yeah. So this, and I'm choosing this poem because there's a election tomorrow, and this is a poem when the Ontario Conservatives came into power. Actually, I'll read the thing. I'll just read the thing because I did it. I worked with, and Andrea, thank you. So this is called "Why Did the Trans Kid Cross the Road?" So the little under thing here. In 2019, Ontario's newly elected provincial Conservative government scheduled a debate about the existence of trans and non-binary people and gave out a hotline number to report teachers talking about gender identity or respecting pronouns. Our former Liberal government had made it essential for schools, if we think that children don't know who they are. I can say I've known since I was 6 years old, and this was the moment. 1. I am 6 years old. My identity has no words. The crossing guard asks if I'm a boy or a girl. My mouth is a goldfish. I start to cry. He asks again, and because he sounds girl, or more inclusive government. When the crossing guard asks me if I'm a boy or a girl, I tell him I'm transmasculine. I tell him my pronouns and that my name is Charlie. Maybe he's still mean, but now he can't say anything. That kid today. This morning, our new government has instructed schools that trans and non-binary identities aren't real. I approached the crossing guard. Yesterday, I told him my name and pronouns. Today, he is holding them as a series of blades. He asked me, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And I know it's mean. He grips the pronouns. My blood spills between his fingers. I run. Thank you. Yeah, I was going around to schools and teachers, and I would talk a lot about being trans because I knew this hotline was in place and that I was in no danger of being fired, and teachers would come up to me after and say, "Thank you for saying something. I'm so afraid for my job if I say anything about pronouns." And all those same kids, were going back to school, all these trans kids. So this one, so I never thought I was going to be a spoken word artist. I mean, it's not really on the list of jobs you can choose from as a child. Anyway, but I had a lisp. It sounded like this. It's called a lateral lisp. And I went to many years of speech therapy. I've never gotten completely rid of it because it's almost impossible, this type of lisp. And so you find heroes in people who lisp. And this is a poem for that person. And it's also a poem about coming back from being a damaging person to others. And I think that's a story to start, a really important theme of a story to start telling, because there are ways back. Like restorative justice practice. So this is called My First Lisping Hero. We called you champ, Mike Tyson. When you and I open up our mouths, they turn into bullseyes, and we stay silent in our defense because words can be landmines to step into. The first time I saw you, unapologetic, unabashed on the mic, you became my first lisping hero. I imagined us in my playground bullies fleeing our earthquake footsteps. I tried to duck and dance around them like a butterfly Ali, but you were no one's punching bag. You launched iron fists back to the tune of 38 arrests before you hit age 13. The boxing world. I know how education can seem like the enemy, and for a boy targeted for his high-pitched, lispy voice, you probably felt relieved the teacher would never call on you again. Your lisp never got better. Your voice never dropped. You put up your dukes. Mike Tyson gave up on language and let your dreams narrow. Before your mom died, she gave you to your boxing coach, Gus D'Amato, who polished you up like a custom auto, but he never could install any brakes. There were no bells in the bedrooms you strode into, no towels to be thrown in front of your thundering ways, raised to be a wild animal. You look calmest, wrestling with your Bengal tiger. Even your friends said you belonged in a cage. But Mike, yours used to betrayal as being punched in the gut. I mean, the secret. I mean, the man who could have protected you left when you were just 2 years old. There are no S's in Dad. You could have said it every day without fear of retribution, but now you shout it into barrel chests. It bounces back with the blank stares of men who love you for your fists and the bags of money they bring. Maybe what you needed was a male embrace, not to be cut short by a bell. Now, in the wake of Hollyfield's spat-out ear, your empire crumbles. Your 4-year-old daughter dies. Your other children look at you in fear, and your beloved the television calls you a monster, speaks of your failures, your crimes, your legacy of violence. Mike, I like your new heavyweight fight, the one called sobriety, as your daughter's easy laughter makes you champion, the father who's there, the father who came back. I've written so many endings to your poem, Mike. Some were too kind, others damned you, but you grew. Humans are capable of so much when we give them the chance to get up off the mat. Thank you. Oof. Thank you. Oh my gosh, we are at our final poem. So right before we do that, I want to say a series of. It's probably easier if I use the mic, right? Oh. Catch me if you can. I was not trying to shout out Leonardo DiCaprio at all in that moment. Okay, so how do I even say thank you for this night? I want to say thank you for my editors to make sure that I had the book that I so desperately needed to put out. So thank you, Andrea and Nick. I want to say thank you to Brick Books, to Elena for being here, for helping out. So great, and like everything you've done and all you've been wonderful, so thank you. Bookseller, which speaking of a good community place, it is my favorite community place in Toronto, Glad Day Bookstore, so please go by and get a little, they have food, they have everything basically, and they also have my book, and really, like I had this work through them, and it was just great, totally calm. But no, really, like total professionals. So I'm super happy, but shut up. So I'm super happy. And to Rudy, for all of our like little gorgeous rehearsals in your gorgeous space, and to bring your 808 music here to this launch. Thank you so much. And I just love that we've known each other for so long and been on this gender journey as well, and like I'm in huge celebration of her. And Alessandra Nacarado, thank you so much for being such a glorious host And really, you're just so special, and you made me feel very special. And thank you to everybody that made me feel so special, everybody who's reached out, everybody who is in the audience, who's putting stuff into the chat that I'm going to go look at after, everybody for being here, and everybody that's been an inspiration or has given feedback. It takes a community to produce an artist, and certainly I have been very well supported as an artist, so I hope we all do that for each other. And so this final is one of my favorite I say read, but I'm not actually going to look at it. One of my favorite things ever to perform. I'm just going to get everything out of the way, because it's going to get really ridiculous here in just a second. A lot of you know what poem's probably coming up at this point. I do like Star Wars so much, and also I think there is a war on hair that's happening, and so I wanted to do this in defense of one of the sexiest aliens I've ever not met. Okay. This is, okay. Chewbacca! You are my favorite out of all of the Wookiees. Since I saw you in the first movie, which is actually the fourth movie, you have ruined me for all of humanity. Chewie, there is never enough chest hair to satisfy me, never enough back hair to warm the cockles of my star-warring heart. The smell of sweat and hair is never husky, musky enough for me to fully fill my little tusk. But I try. Jim, bring that hairy ass in. The love cries of my partners have never equaled the parallel universe of what comes out of your small-toothed mouth. Why are you not more saber-toothed? Lightsaber-toothed platitudes of love from you would be like sweet baths of sound, glorious guttural bubblings of ghastly sex. Would you make me wear a mohair onesie so that you could accept me as your own? Would you have me stop scaping my landscape so that there would be... Would you only chew my baka if the hair was long enough to get tangled up in yours? I want to twist and turn and grind you until we become dreadlocked. I want my skin... Well, I would take it out after because I'm white. No dreadlocks. I want my skin to be patterned to the scraped lines of the lineage you left to be with me, for our kitchen to smell of victory sage and the rub salts of galaxy seas. We could live our lives as naked apes, only I would probably wear a sports bra or a binder for most of the time, because I actually feel kind of uncomfortable not to have one on. Maybe we could both wear sports bros or binders and dance to the space music created for us by the human John William. Chewbacca, I didn't think that my love for you would outlast my crush on Han Solo, but when I am with my Han Solo, it is your Wookiee cry that blushes my neck, your feet that must smell of freedom I want resting on the backs of my calves. It is you, Wookiee man, your ammo belt crashed to the floor, your tendrils caught in my overflossed teeth that pull out my belief that the language we speak need never include the oppressive learning of English. Wookiee, I cry out. In hopes that someday you might cruise your Millennium Falcon my way. Thank you, everybody. Oh my gosh, to the band, to Polly, to Rudy Ray. Everybody here at Theater Pass Mariah. Woo-hoo! Thank you, gorgeousnesses. Woo. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be weird and just ask what time is it, because maybe, what time is it? 8:39. Oh, wow, we have lots of time. Well, I guess would you want to play another little something?
Together?
We could play a little something together. Oh yeah, I'll play a little saw. Yeah, we'll just play some little bit so you can dance.
Sure.
Okay, dance at home, dance here. Yeah, if anybody wants to come up and dance, put your masks on. We are doing all of our best to ensure that we are keeping our community that we talk a lot much about safe. Wear your damn masks, everybody. Okay, great. Oh.
We'll get right into it.
for our book launch, for your book launch. We're the latecomers, everybody. Okay, I think I'm feeling like we are calling this a lovely night. Thank you so much, everybody. Of course, Elena has been so great about dropping, where to get the book, how to get the book, how to follow these amazing artists that are here. Of course, Theatre Pass Marai, keep an eye on what they got going on. They've been doing a digital producer series that has been incredible. And one of our, Luke Reese, who's an amazing spoken word artist, was also a part of that, so please. I just want everybody to have a lovely night, and if you would like in a privacy tent, or at least I will next week when I have time, we can do some book launches together, and I can sign some books, and maybe there'll be like a little book signing kind of thing that we can do at Glad Day Bookstore as well. We're going to. Where's your gig tonight? This is a show. Where's your gig tonight? At Toronto Beach Club, you can see Rudy. What's the DJ's name?
DJ Cage.
DJ Cage. Maybe they know Luke Cage. Who knows? Come down to the beach bar and find out. So I'm going to go dance on a beach for a while, and maybe I'll see you there. But most of all, be safe, be loving to each other. Don't forget to vote unless you're voting conservative. And maybe vote NDP. I'm not sure. Why not have that? Why not have that government before we all burn? Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great night. Thank you. Hey.